start with the lab on Monday, it will be difficult for you all to get convinced with what are the terms that we are using or what is that which will be we will be doing in the hydraulic circuits. Okay, so that is the reason I took one class and we will be having introduction to fluid power. So the term fluid power is nothing but a combination. Fluid basically means it can be divided into hydraulics or pneumatics. So if you have heard the word hydraulics, it is nothing but the systems which make use of liquids, that is mineral oil, water, or any other fluids, okay, or any other liquids. But if you say pneumatics, it is nothing but related to air or other gases. Now, this fluid is a common term that is used for hydraulics as well as pneumatics. Now, we have kept our lab name as fluid power, fluid and fluid machines, because in fluid power we are going to study only hydraulics part, not the pneumatics part. Okay, so fluid power is basically the use of fluids. It can be oil or it can be air to generate, control, and transmit the power. So more focus for us will be on hydraulics. Okay, so what is this term hydraulics? It is basically a Greek word which is derived from hydros, means water. Okay, so who discovered this? So this was discovered based on the principle that was proposed by a French scientist, that is Pascal. Okay, this person related the use of fluids in transmitting the power, and hence that popular term hydraulics came into existence. Now, as per the ISO standards, they have defined this term hydraulics and they have come up with various symbols, various notations for the components that are available in hydraulics. So, before going to the actual hydraulics or the fluid power, now if I use the term fluid power or if I use the term hydraulics, both mean the same and for the present context, because fluid we are referring here to oil or water. Okay, so please don't get confused with these two terms, both mean the same. We are not dealing anything with regards to the pneumatics. Okay, so whenever I say fluid power or if I use the term hydraulics, both mean the same, that is we are using oil to run a system and we are generating power and doing some work. Okay, now before going to the components of fluid power, let us understand what does the fluid power do or what is its importance. So generally, we have fluid power that can transmit equivalent power within a smaller space compared to your mechanical or electrical drives. Okay, we also can transmit power by various means. Till now, you people have studied in various subjects, but here fluid power means we can transmit the power by using fluids. Okay, fluids basically I mean water, oil, different types of oils, mineral oil, biodegradable oil, or so on and so forth, say oils and all. Okay, now what are the specific features of fluid power systems? So if you consider the features, they offer simple and effective control of direction, speed, force, and torque using simple control valves. So when I say power is transmitted, there should be some means through which it is transmitted. The means through which this power is transmitted is oil. But we should have some controlling parameters for that power transmission. What are those? Those are nothing but direction, speed, force, and torque. These can be controlled by using control valves. Okay. Now, where is this fluid power useful? Fluid power we are talking about, but why we have this subject as well as this lab? Now, if you observe, most of the industries generally use the different methods to transmit power. The first one is mechanical transmission. That can be possible by using shafts, gears, chains, belt drives, and so on and so forth, rope drives and all, which you have studied earlier. Next is electrical transmission they use, that is through wires, transformers, etc. The third is the popular one, that is fluid power, which is used for transmitting power using the liquids or a gas in a confined space. What do you mean by confined space? this fluid has to be filled in a space or it occupies a certain volume, and within that confined space the power is transmitted. Okay, now what all we are going to discuss in this PPT? We will be discussing the structure of hydraulic systems and pneumatic systems, but pneumatic system, since it is not there, we are not going to deal with it. Okay, so I told you hydraulics. Hydraulics is a combination of hydr, that is means water, okay, and olos, that is pipe. So both together, the pronunciation changed further to hydraulics. So I told you that this hydraulics was the Greek term coined by Mr. Pascal, who related the use of fluids in transmitting the power. So, what is that Pascal's law? Of course, all of you know it, but still, just quickly to revise, pressure exerted at any point on a confined fluid. Again, here, confined fluid is very important. You are storing that fluid in a confined space. If this fluid, when confined, the pressure exerted at any point on a confined fluid is transmitted undiminished in all directions. Undiminished means what? It is does not vanish. It must be transmitted. 100% transmission is there. Okay. Now, so if you observe, there is a container which is filled with fluid. So if this pressure is applied to a confined fluid, you can see those white arrows over there, which show that this pressure is transmitted undiminished in all directions, acts with equal force on equal areas, and also it acts at right angles to the walls of the container. Okay, so it just they have given an example, that is you have the area that is available 10 inch square and the force that is 100 lbs. Okay, so this is the basics of Pascal's law on which the entire hydraulic system works. Of course, when we go to the theoretical classes, which will be starting later, I will be taking you through all the details. Now I am telling only the gist. This is to prepare you all for the lab on Monday. I will not go into thorough details of the syllabus. Okay, we will take it up that time. Now, what are the different properties? So the fluid, in order to perform some work or to transmit power, it must have certain properties. What are those properties? Shapelessness. You know that liquids have no neutral form. They conform to the shape of a container. You place them in any container, they will take its shape. They can be easily transferred through piping from one location to another. Okay, you can transfer them. Next important property of hydraulic fluid, I'm telling hydraulic fluid, that is fluid which is used in transmitting power, that is incompressibility. This is very important. So liquids are essentially incompressible. Once the force is removed, liquid returns to the original volume. There is no permanent distortion that is going to take place in the fluid. That is incompressibility is one of the important features of hydraulic fluid. So that fluid, if it is compressible, then what will happen? It will lose its power. Means there will be some losses. Okay, so it should be incompressible fluid. Then the transmission of force. So the third property is the force is transmitted equally and undiminished in every direction. Okay, so these are the three essential properties of hydraulic fluid. There are some other properties, as I told, we will look into once we start with the theory classes. Okay. Next, primary tasks. What does it do? It transmits the power, okay, pressure and motion transmission. Next, signal transmission for control. I was talking something with relay, which is related to control valves. So what are these control valves? There are three types of control valves. So see, you want to make the fluid to flow from one direction to other direction. Okay, so for that we need to control the direction in which that fluid is moving. Hence we call them as direction control valve. Second, if that fluid has to flow faster or slow, the velocity with which that fluid is being transmitted from one place to another, so that we call it as flow control valve. The flow is controlled. How much meter cube per second of flow is there? So what is that volume of the fluid that is displaced from a confined space? So for that, we need to have something called as flow control valves. Okay. Then third one is your pressure control valve, so PCVs, which we call it as. So you should be able to control the pressure that is acting on that particular space. So that pressure that is generated, by a force that is applied on a particular area. So that we call it as pressure control valves. Okay. So popularly, these three are termed in our hydraulic terms as DCV, that is directional control valve, FCV, that is flow control valve, and PCV, that is pressure control valves. So when we start with the labs, that time I will explain to you in that video where is that PCV, where is that DCV, where is that FCV. Okay, so just remember these terms because it should not be like something new to you all when we send you that video. Okay, now, so it has hydraulic fluid tasks. So there are various tasks that a hydraulic fluid can perform. The primary tasks, as you can see, the power transmission and the signal transmission. And secondary tasks, it can act as a lubrication of rotating and translating components. You know that for lubrication, we generally use solid lubricants or liquid lubricants, okay, or semi solid lubricants like grease. So similarly here in any hydraulic system, that lubrication is provided by the fluid itself, okay, for rotating or translating components in order to avoid that friction and wear. Second is, if you have observed, maybe in case of other applications like metal cutting, huge amount of heat is generated because of the wear and tear and rubbing action of the work tool and all. But here, even though there is movement of the, for example, a typical hydraulic system is nothing but a piston fixed inside a cylinder. Okay, that is a typical hydraulic system. In that, even though there is movement, so the heat transport, okay, away from the location of heat generation, and that heat is transferred. That work also is done by the fluid. Next is transport of particles to the filter. If there are any dust particles and all, they will get filtered. Then fourth one is protection of surfaces from chemical attack. These are general secondary tasks that a hydraulic fluid can perform. Just put these for your information. Next, let us go to what is a hydraulic circuit. Okay, so generally when we call a circuit, it can be an electronic circuit or a hydraulic circuit or a pneumatic circuit and so on and so forth. What is a circuit? It is nothing but an arrangement or a system which comprises of an interconnected set of discrete components that transport the liquid. Now we want this liquid to perform some task. Maybe you want to move a load from one end to other end. For that, you have to push that component. To push that component, you should have a mechanism which will get connected to that component. The mediator which will push that component will be nothing but a piston. So that piston will be fixed into a cylinder, and between that cylinder wall and the piston rod, there will be some media which will transmit the power, and that media is your liquid. Okay, so here a hydraulic circuit is basically a system which comprises of a set of interconnected discrete components. Discrete means individual components are there. So we will see what are those components. Okay, so this is a definition of a hydraulic circuit. What are the components of hydraulics? So as you can see from these list, so we have number of components, but the major and the important components have been listed over here. What is that? One is a reservoir. What is a reservoir? Reservoir is a place in which that hydraulic fluid can be placed or stored. It has to be stored, right? We have to keep it at a place. Next, pump. So what is a pump from one place to the other place? Okay, so it uses some energy and pushes that fluid so that it can go enter the hydraulic circuit and perform some work. Okay, so you use water pumps and so on to transmit or transfer the fluid from the lower level to the higher level. Similarly, hydraulic pump is there. Next, hydraulic cylinder. So I told you cylinder is a component which is connected further to the work that you want to get it done. Okay, the end of the piston, one end of the piston is connected to the device which you want to move from one location to another. The other end is kept in the inside the cylinder so that the fluid can fluid is filled in between the piston rod and the cylinder. We will tell you all these things, explain all these things systematically once again when we go for the lab component as well as the theory part. Next, hydraulic piston. That's what I was saying. We call it as a hydraulic piston because the movement of the piston is controlled by the movement of the fluid. Okay. Now, next, control valve. I was telling about PCV, DCV, and FCV. Okay, pressure, flow, and direction control valves. Next, relief valve. What is this relief valve? Relief valve is nothing but suddenly if the pressure increases, there is more flow of the fluid inside the circuit. There should be some mode or means in which you can disperse that fluid. That fluid has to be removed from the system in order to cause damage to the system. So in order to avoid that damage, the pressure has to be released, or you should provide some relief to the valve. So that valve we call it as relief valve. Okay. The last one, that is lifting arms. Lifting arms. For example, you want to many of you all have seen you people have used the hydraulic jacks. So what does it do? The moment you use that hydraulic jack, it is used basically to lift the component. So there should be some arms, some connectors which will hold, okay, and help to lift the platform. So those are nothing but lifting arms. So basically, these are the basic components and the important components of a hydraulic system. Okay, there are many more components, but we will see them one by one. Now, here I have a sketch which shows the components of a hydraulic system. Now, left side, there are two diagrams in this slide. The left diagram, okay, which has on the top written as one off, two forward, and three written. So that diagram is nothing but a diagram which shows all the components. Okay, so you can see in the left diagram there are so many components. There is one more diagram to the right side, okay, which is drawn using symbols. Now see, for every hydraulic system you need to have these components. Which were those components? There were 7 components. Okay. Now every time for each circuit, you cannot draw those components. It will become very complex. Now if you see the schematic diagram or line diagram, you can say schematic diagram, not line diagram. Okay. So schematic diagram, if you see, what are the components that you can see in that left side diagram? So many are there. So the system, which are power transmitting assemblies, employ the pressurized fluid, okay, as a fluid for transmitting that energy. So to transmit that energy or the power or that liquid, you need to arrange these things at a place. Okay, what are those? So let us start from the basic component, that is tank. You can see at the extreme left end there is an oil tank in which oil is filled. From the oil tank, the oil is taken into the filter so that the filtering of that oil happens. And if there are some dust particles, unwanted particles that have mixed in the reservoir, that is clean. From the filter, the oil moves to the pump, okay, which is connected to a motor, drive. Okay, so pump will further send the fluid to a pressure regulator. You can control the pressure. Okay, then from there it goes to the direction control valve. Now here comes the question, how you control the direction. So the direction can be controlled by using the lever. There will be lever. Now you can see in case of your automatic lathes and all, you can turn the lever to the left, turn the lever to the right. So using the lead screw, there was some connection which will move that component from left to right or right to left. A similar kind of an arrangement is there in DCV, that is direction control valve. Whether you want to move that load from top to down or bottom to up. So that is decided by this direction control valve. Okay. After the direction control valve, you can see at the right, extreme right, we have the actuator. Okay. Now the actuator is nothing but the cylinder which actuates the mechanism. What is actuator? Actuator is a device which actuates the mechanism. So that mechanism is actuated only when the fluid movement starts. The entire hydraulic system starts when you press that on button. Fluid starts moving from one end to other end. You can see there you have a load. Okay, on that you can place some load which can be lifted and lowered. How that is possible? By filling the fluid. Okay, so from there again the actuator, you can see there is a reverse direction of arrow, that is the fluid can return back. But where does it return back? To the oil tank. So this complete set of arrangement consisting of filter, motor, pump, regulator, DCV, actuator, all this together forms a hydraulic circuit, okay, or the hydraulic system. Now the same components you have to represent in the short form or in a universally accepted symbolic form. Now, what is that universally accepted symbolic form? You can see in that right side diagram. Okay, so in the right side diagram, of course, I hope the diagram is clear, maybe little blur, but I will explain those symbols. Okay, what are those symbols that are available now? You can see there. So same reservoir is almost the same. You have a block. From there you can see that filter. That filter is nothing but a rhombus kind of a symbol in which dash dash lines are there. So that represents a filter. From there you can see the pump. So pump is represented by a circle. Inside that circle there is a small triangle that we draw. Now here most important thing is that triangle which we have drawn, or you can say that as a arrow. So in your graphical terms you used to say it as a leader line, right? So leader, you used to show that with the arrow. So if that arrow or that triangular symbol, if it is filled, we call it as a hydraulic pump. If it is unfilled, we call it as a pneumatic mode of operation. So hydraulics means it should be filled, completely darkened. Pneumatic means it should be unfilled. So unfilled means it is using air. Filled means it is using the oil. So here we use a pump, there we use a compressor. Okay. Now, next you have the pressure regulator. You have to control the pressure. So that is called as a pressure regulator. Above that, you can see there is a symbol which consists of three compartments. Okay. So in the first compartment, you have one arrow upwards, another arrow downwards. In the second compartment, central position, which we call it as. So this, the earlier one which I told is left envelope. The middle one is called as the central envelope. And the third one, the extreme right one, is called as the right envelope. Okay. Or in terms of hydraulics, we call it as the left one is called as the forward position, middle one is called as the neutral position, and the right one is called as the reverse position. Okay, you can see those arrows. So left envelope has arrows parallel to each other, one going up and another coming down. The extreme right envelope has crossed arrows. Okay, so that I will explain what is that and how it is. Okay, so this component which has three compartments, and to the left and to the right there are some symbols. There is a rectangle to the left and the right in which there is a dash line. Okay, and above that there are springs. That is the symbols for spring. The below ones, the rectangle with that slash line, is nothing but solenoid actuated, or different types of actuations are available to us. So this entire system with three envelopes and this solenoid operated, spring controlled central position is called as DCV, directional control valve. So to represent one valve, you have to draw all these things. But this is universally accepted as per ISO 1219 standardization. These are the symbols that are used for hydraulics. So every time when I say draw DCV, you have to draw such DCVs. Now this, what is this DCV? It is 4 by 3 DCV, or the full name for this DCV is 4 by 3 spring centered solenoid actuated directional control valve. This is what is DCV that we call. Okay, so this is DCV. Next, last one at the topmost, you can see that it's a cylinder. So cylinder, there are two positions. One is extended position, another is retracted position. So when you have the left envelope actuated, the oil will flow from the pump to the left envelope, that is to the you can say the blank end of the cylinder. Oil will start filling. Once the oil starts filling, the head, piston head, or you can say the blank side, piston head will be pushed forward. Then the piston will start moving towards the right side. This process is called as extension of a cylinder. And what will happen to the oil that is already present at the other side? Because the hydraulic system means completely it is filled with oil itself. What happens to the oil that is present at the rod end towards the right side? That oil will start draining out from the line that comes out from the right side. It will start draining through this arrow, downward arrow, you can see, that will be connected when you are having left envelope in central position. So you will be having that draining of the oil from the right end to back to the reservoir. You can see that line straight away joins to the reservoir. This is extension of the cylinder. Similarly, during retraction of the cylinder, what happens? The other rightmost envelope comes into picture. In that you can see there are crossed arrows. Okay, so oil from the pump, you can just analyze this by taking your observation from pump. Okay, that triangle arrow, oil will come out of it. It will come to the downward position of that right envelope. That is, oil will move right side. You can see the cross arrow is there, so it will move towards which end? The rod end, okay, of the cylinder. So it will enter there. What will it do? It will start entering at the rod end and will push it. Already this has reached the extreme right position, it will push back. So the oil will start entering and the rod will start moving from right side to left side. And what will happen again to the oil that was already present in the left envelope? That will get drained. Again, you can see it is a crossed arrow. So it will get drained back to the tank. This is how it works. This is basic idea that I have given. Now I understand that you people will not be able to understand it perfectly because this is the first time that we are using these terms. However, you don't worry. Once we give the demonstration in the lab, you will be able to understand. Okay. So yeah. Hmm? Yeah. Now, another thing, important thing in that DCV, which I have to tell you, there are something called as ports. What is port? Port is nothing but an opening. Okay, there will be an opening through which oil will enter, and there will be an opening through which oil will be drained. So there are 4 ports in each of these sections of DCV. That is why I was telling you, right? Left envelope, central envelope, and right envelope. In that, you can see those arrows. Those arrows are connected down and top. Okay, in the first left envelope, downward the oil will enter, and at the top oil will leave. So there are 2 ports. Similarly, beside that, the oil will exit from the blank end at the top and will return back to the tank through that lower part of the arrow. So that are 2 ports. So 4 ports are there in that left envelope. Similarly, in the center, you can see very clearly there are 4 dashed lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are again 4 ports. Similarly, right envelope, 4 ports. So completely, if you want to define the DCV, we can call it as 4-port, 3-position, spring-centered, solenoid actuated directional control valve. This will be a name for one valve. I repeat, 4-port, 3-position, spring-centered, solenoid actuated directional control valve. This is how we symbolically or hydraulically or technically define that DCV. So we have seen what are the different components of one circuit. This is one circuit. Like this, you have thousands and lakhs of circuits depending on the application. Now, what was the primary objective here? You wanted to extend the cylinder and retract it. Means if you want to move an object from one point to another point, you have to connect that cylinder rod, piston rod, to that work, and there will be movement of the load from left envelope to right envelope and retract from right envelope to left envelope. Okay, so did you understand something? Can CRs respond?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I hope so. At least, yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Just I want to know whether.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, there was a suggestion from students when you are pointing out, you can show it using mouse because you are not understanding which point you are pointing.
Yeah. No. Actually,
Thank you.
I heard that. Can you see the mouse now? This arrow you can see
Yes,
on the
sir.
screen.
Yes. So when you point out a part, we will get to know which part you are talking
I had
about.
thought that. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Definitely. Actually, I wanted to do it, but unfortunately, the background here is also white. That was the problem. Okay. Anyway, now are
Yes,
you able
there
to
is an
see
option
that pointer is
highlighter.
moving? Yeah. Can you see that I
Yes,
am pointing towards the pump? Yeah.
yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So now from here, reservoir, then the filter, next is the pump, which is connected to the motor as the drive. Then the point, then we are having the fluid that enters this envelope, but it is blocked here. Beside also it's blocked. Top it's blocked. Here also it's blocked. So this is what I was referring that port A, port B, port C, port D. That is, we have this port that is opening for the oil. So oil will start moving. Of course, this is a line diagram, but actually when you see in the lab, there will be holes through which the oil will be transferred, okay, or moved. Okay? Now, similarly, this is envelope 1, this is envelope 2, this is envelope 3. So I was talking to you regarding the spring centered. So whenever you bring this left envelope at the center, this spring would have expanded and this spring would have contracted or compressed. This would be expanded. Similarly, when you come back or leave that spring actuation, automatically this will come back and spring centered position will be there. Last actuation, that is here, last part of actuation, that is right envelope, this will get expanded and this spring would be compressed. Okay, so that is how it works. So I was talking about this one position, second position, third position. Next, four ports. Port 1, that we call it as P port. Okay, why P? Because here if you see, the first movement of the oil is from the pump, so it is P. Then if this left envelope is in action, what will happen? The oil will flow through this, through that arrow. Actually this should be center, so here the oil will move. So oil will move towards what? The actuator. So this port we call it as A. P to A. Next, here we call this port as B because it is from the end, from this end it will come. The oil will move here and it's showing downward arrow. So it will move back to the tank. So this port we call it as T. So what are those four ports? P, A, tank, and P is pump. Oil is coming from the pump. Okay. So this actuation, left envelope actuation, right envelope actuation we can have. Then the oil will move here. During extension, what will happen? Oil will start filling this portion. It will push the piston head. Piston will start moving. But don't think that there is no oil here. This part is also completely filled with the oil because the fluid has to be there entirely in the system, and incompressible fluid must be there. Then the work done will be perfect and power transmission will be 100%. Okay. But however, there are some losses, but still, ideally it is 100%. Now the oil from here will move back to the tank. How it will move? Here there is an opening, port is there again, oil will start moving from here, and when this position is there, it will go back to the tank. Okay. To reverse the direction, what they do? They bring this right envelope here. What will happen then? You only just check pump is here, from pump oil will come. Now please understand that this is here. Assume that this diagram is here. What would have happened? Oil will enter from port P, it will directly go to which port? B. Okay, means it will move here. From here the oil will start gushing into the this space. What will happen? Already the oil which was present here, because of this force, the piston will start retracting, it will start moving towards the left. And what will happen to the oil which was filled already here? It will get drained through this. When it comes to this port, okay, A port, it will have no option, but it has to move this way. This is the connection, so it will move back to what? The tank. This is how it operates. Okay. This is extension, retraction.
So your voice is not clearly audible, sir.
Different operations,
Excuse me, sir.
and we will see how to perform those experiments. Okay. In lab, we have
Sir, your voice
five
is
experiments, 5 to 6. But in theory, you are going to learn so many applications. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Are you able to hear?
So your voice is not clearly audible, sir.
One Hello. Just check now. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Now it's audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir. It's okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fine.
sir. Now it's clear.
Okay. Now, yeah. Now some more. So we have hydraulic fluid types. What are the different fluids that can be used? We can use water. Okay, generally water is used, but you can see the percentage of fluid that is used in industries. Generally, they don't use water because water, as you know, the viscosity of water is very low. Okay, so oils we have good viscosity, and compared to oil and water, water can carry more load because its viscous nature it makes it strong. Okay, so water is almost very less, that is only 3% of water is used in the industries for all hydraulic systems. Next we have mineral oils, maximum mineral oils are used here. Okay, 75%. Then non-flammable fluids around 9%, biologically degradable fluids 13%, and electro-rheological fluids in development, they are coming up, still that work is going on. Okay, now, so there are some basics of cylinder. So basic function of a cylinder is to convert that hydraulic power into linear mechanical force. Basically, it transmits the power. Okay. So you have different types of cylinders. I have kept this. Of course, later in theory part we can cover ram cylinder, single acting cylinder, double acting cylinder, reciprocating cylinder, and so on. Telescopic cylinder. Now, if you see this word telescopic, you can just remember the antenna. So one inside the other, you just pull that antenna rod, right? Telescopic. So that is telescopic kind of a cylinder. The number of cylinders will be fit one inside the other, okay, and they will be actuated when and whenever necessary. And spring return cylinder, single acting cylinder is generally spring return. Okay, you have to just press the knob and leave it. It will return back on spring force. Next is double acting cylinder, which we have taken in the circuit diagram. We have used the double acting cylinder because you can extend the cylinder, retract the cylinder. Control valves, as I was telling, typical control valves, pressure control valve, direction control valve, and volume control valve, flow control valve. This we have discussed. Then now comes some of the symbols, miscellaneous fluids drawing elements. So you can see there are some symbols. Already we have seen so many. Still, some of the symbols. Whenever I say to draw
Hello, sir.
filter, you can see this
Excuse me,
robot
sir.
with that pump. You have
No.
So again, your
Yes.
voice is breaking, sir.
Yeah. Oh, 1 minute. Is it clear now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So crossing lines are there. Connected lines are there. Cylinder is represented like this. You can see there are ports. First port, second port, and so on. Electric motor, reservoir. These are some symbols. Of course, you will practice these symbols and understand once we take up the theory. Some more symbols are there here. Like I was telling, no, four-way, three-position, solenoid valve, spring center. These are the different valves. Okay, four-way position, three-position, four-way, two-position, and so on. 2x2. We call later we will use all these shortcuts. Okay, 2x2 valve, 4x2 wall, 4x3 wall, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just don't worry much about this. This part we'll be taking up more in the theory. Now you have some applications of fluid power. You can just go through these. They are used in rolling machines, lifts. See, lift is one of the basic applications of fluid power. Even I was telling the example earlier, a few years back, around 20 years back or so, we used to travel in lifts, which were basically available in government offices and so on, some old buildings. You could feel that jerk, when the lift starts. First is that they were noisy lifts, they were making a lot of noise. Next is the jerk. The moment you start, means if you're moving from lower floor to the higher floor, you can feel that jerk, that your legs are lifted, somebody's lifting you. And you don't know, like suddenly when that floor comes, you will feel that jerk. Yes, it has come. But now you can see with the uh, huge technological advancements in the field of hydraulics, you can observe that these hydraulic lifts, those were mechanical lifts because there were mechanical loads which were moving from top floor to down floor. Yeah, they were using rope drives and all, and with the ropes we used to move. The platforms were able to move, but now you can observe. So smooth operation, precise control, everything is synchronized perfectly. You never know you started on the ground floor and on the 10th floor when you have reached. So it's just a smooth movement. That's all possible with regards to this hydraulics. Okay, some automatic handling equipments, robots, robotic arms make use of hydraulics, and so on and so forth. See, it is the study in hydraulics is almost never ending. So many applications we have. Okay, then we have some mobile hydraulics wherein they use for landing gear mechanism of an aeroplane is also based on the hydraulics. Then we have tractors, automobiles, cranes, crane hooks. It will be able to. You can see that piston cylinder rod arrangement in a crane. Okay, you can observe that. So the longevity of that crane, it will have a longer arm. It can pluck the mud, stones, and all. It can withstand. Okay, various agricultural machinery and so on. The applications is never ending. What are the benefits? Some advantages, just which you are supposed to remember. They are simple, easy to operate. Then multiplication and variation of forces. This is very important. See, suppose if you have some kind of a system in which you apply a smaller force at one end and a larger force is generated at the other end. This principle, that is force that you apply on a smaller area, okay, generates a force which is applied on a larger area. Okay, so this is something which we will be learning in hydraulics, which we call it as a Brahma's principle. Okay, a smaller force applied on a smaller piston generates a larger force on a larger piston. Okay, why this smaller force creates a larger force is nothing but because of the fluid that is there in between. Okay, so that we will see what it is and how it is. I will explain it to you all. I think I had kept one diagram for this. Let me check once. No, it's not that. Okay, then never mind. So we call it as basically Brahma's principle. We will explain that what it is, Brahma's principle. Okay. So that is one possibility. Multiplication of forces is possible. Okay. Then you have control of force, torque. It is economical, and so on and so forth. So safety also, and so on. So we have various applications of fluid power. Okay. So we will explore one by one during our lab sessions as well as our theoretical sessions. So I think for now, for today, this what we have discussed is more than enough so that we can start with our first experiment. So in the first experiment, what you are going to do is same thing, study of a typical hydraulic system. Okay, this circuit you are going to study. Now all of you were asking that circuit diagram, right? I was saying that I will be sharing similar circuit diagram. Okay, so you will these components. Okay, yes. Now if you people have any doubts, you can just type in the chat box, so that will be better, that I can address one by one instead of having one to one. Okay, 186 members are there. I will mute myself for 1 minute as a break. I'll take rest. Till then, you can type your questions. Okay. Then again, we will continue for another 5 minutes and wind up. Okay. ಅದು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು.